Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got HEX, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart.
This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're going to pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what HEX has done. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar Cost told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What's going on, Hex fam? Hope everybody's having an outstanding Friday as Hex continues to dominate, right? Just like it always has been. So that's kind of the interesting thing when you talk about HEX. It's kind of like you're repeating yourself a lot of the time. And that's the way it kind of should be, because it should be boring. It shouldn't be, oh, what's gonna do, cause it to go up or down or whatever. Because that's not what should be happening. When something exists to provide a utility, right? Provide a service, a good, or something like that. It should just do that, right? And that's kind of what HEX does, really. It's one of those things where it's unexpected because everybody's used to looking for something to look forward to, whereas here, it's ready to go right out of the box, right? And when you sit here and you contemplate on how crypto works and all that, it's software, plainly, right? That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be software that you can use to be able to exchange value without intermediaries, in short. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. And interestingly enough, we actually had something happen today where the SEC stepped in and stopped Kraken from being able to provide their staking services or whatever have you to, I guess, whoever stakes on their platforms. I don't know how none of that works because I only do, real crypto stuff. So I don't know how any of that fake, crypto stuff works. I got no idea. But whole point of it is that that's an easy target for the feds. So the fact that that's not obvious to some of these people should worry you if you're involved in any of that stuff, because it's not Wall Street stuff. So you're taking money out of their pocket, and you can't do that. It's pretty plain and simple. And for whatever reason, people in this fake crypto world don't want to accept that. And to their detriment ultimately, because the only people that end up losing in that equation are those that don't want to listen, look at the facts. Because when you sit there and you look at the facts, it's obvious, right? It's not obvious, because plenty of us have pointed out the frauds over the past few years, and they came to be. So take a look at the long list of 2022 wreckages. Take notes and be sure to not get caught up with that funny stuff, because that's ultimately what ends up happening to people. They end up getting caught up in that funny stuff, and it's not because they want to. It's because they want to believe they can extract value from that. That's what it ultimately is. It's not anything else. And this is why I don't even give any trash light. There's nothing to give it light for. We're just going to ignore its existence because it doesn't matter. That's a smart thing to do. There's no debate to be had. What is that a debate? What? Hex is better than anything in the stock market, so how can anything in crypto beat it? It's very simple. Pretty simple. Right? I mean, I'll let the chat ponder that one and let me know how that doesn't work. Right? Just by the theory. What is that damn theory called again? Damn it, I can't remember the name anymore. But long story short, is basically like transposition. If something happens to A, and then B is related to A, and then it also happens to B, and then if something happens to B and C is related to B, then if A happened to B, then A happened to C. I think it's called the transition. I can't remember the damn word of the theory, but that's how it works. Oh, it's like Hart's Law, right? You guys know what that is. Same thing. So that's not new. It's just crypto specific. No, not theory relativity. I can't remember. It starts with a T though. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what the hell it is called. And I talk about it all the time. Hey, Torin, if you want to jump on, man, let me know. I'll send you a link, bro. I'll send you a link any fucking way. Why not? Ouch. Yeah, there was just a shootout around here a little while ago. It's been a loud, loud day. Loud day. You jump on if you can, bro. No big deal if you cannot. Yeah, it was this crazy shootout around here early today. Well, it's every day. Only thing that was annoying about this one is that the damn noise passed through here. That's about it. And that's gonna happen from time to time. But anyway, back to this crypto stuff. How do you get wrecked in crypto? You get wrecked in crypto by thinking you're dealing in crypto when you're not. And the most interesting thing about it is what happens when these institutions start coming in. There's no real way for them to come in and not put a wave in the market, not cause waves in the market. Interestingly enough, this is when you actually do need people, because these institutions are not going to be able to piece together a market. They can't. They don't have the network. They haven't been involved for the past 10 years. They don't have a clue. They might have some schmucks that think they know, but they don't really know anything because they're not involved either. They could just speak about it from a normie standpoint, I guess. I really don't know what people in fake crypto talk about or even say. Ah, yes, transitive property. That's it. Transitive property. That's it right there. So yeah, that's one of those things that you really got to keep in mind. You have to know what's going on. there is no way for you to rely on somebody else's information unless you verify it. And I mean, I'll tell you guys this about me all the time, and I don't say that so you don't check at me. I say that so you check me, literally. You know, uh, so that's why you steer clear of fake crypto stuff. That's the completely why you don't do that. I mean, imagine people that were relying on that. Now they don't have a clue what to do because they've been doing fake crypto this whole time. Something to think about. Something to think about. Because what are we doing with continuing more of the same, right? I mean, if we're going to continue to just choose ruin instead of freedom, then, it's nothing to talk about here. Really isn't, right? Because at the end of the day, what's the resolution, right? I mean, this is something we talk about all the time. And, ultimately, the resolution is self education, understanding, comprehension, all these things that are really inert to you. It's not anything anybody outside of you can really help you do. It's something you got to do. And this befuddles people a lot because it's not the answer they're looking for, number one. Number two, they're looking for something that they should need to stop looking for because that's beside the point about how it works. Like, you know, the exact problem is that everything is centralized. And we can't be continuing to rely on the same shit that doesn't work. And this is what people opt to do in fake crypto. This is exactly why I have no idea what the vernacular is over there at all, and I don't even care to find out. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. Ultimately, what matters is the fact that if you're doing real crypto, it doesn't matter what fake crypto is doing. And that's really the key. Right? And this is a good question. Right? Because to answer your question, you should go and watch I think it was my second stream. I did like a 3 to 7 hour stream just on that topic alone. But I'll give you the gist. There is no yield out there to be had, and that's just a fact. B, there is nothing like Hex that provides yield and allows you to keep control over your wealth. So you can earn yield and you are exposed to capital appreciation, right? That combination, or high yield and capital appreciation, and that combination is rare, right? All the people that were staking on these fake yield platforms or whatever they were doing. Oh, I forgot to tell you number three. Number three is that you earn your yield in crypto, which is really the kicker. That's the icing on the cake. So you got three things. Damn, I forgot what number one was. I'm gonna burn out. A is that no keys. You keep control. High yield. Right. So that's two things. Three. Also, I guess it's four things. Three is the fact that you get capital appreciation as well. And then on top of all of that, right, you get the yield in crypto. So that literally makes it invaluable. Because when you look at what Hex is from a very hierarchical point of view, you come to the realization that Hex is it's almost like a closed monetary system, right? Because if you look at how the financial system works today, everybody thinks there's yield everywhere, and there really isn't. You got to know where to find it. And this is why people that were doing it on BlockFi and all these funky places where they can no longer do it are, SOL. They don't have a clue what to do now. And they'll eventually find Hex because that's ultimately the best place to end up. And the reasons for it are because of the 4 items I already laid out. No admin keys, meaning it's trustless, meaning you don't have to rely on a third party to earn your yield. That's number one. Number two, it's this high yield. Number three is you expose to capital appreciation. And number four, finally, is that you're earning yield in crypto. Now, there's also a fifth one, but I mean, if we keep going, I won't stop because it's just that many things that are good about it, right? So why do you want to earn yield in crypto? Well, the reason for that is because fiat only goes one way, and that's down, right? So why do you want to be exposed to earning money in something that only goes down in value? I don't know. Personally, I like to look for compounders, or I like things that are going to go up in value. If not up, then down, which is okay because I'm exposing myself to that risk. But I'm also exposing myself to the upside because downside is not permanent, just like upside is not permanent, and you always get more upside than downside. In a good asset, that's the case. Now, what's important to understand is that crypto is supposed to be software. It's not supposed to be this thing where you are, getting instantly rich and all this stuff that people think it is. Like it's just not that. So, you got to understand a lot of things to get crypto. You got to understand the economic problem. You got to understand the financial problem, right? Because there's those two separate problems. There's a lot of issues that you have to understand to really get the crypto situation and why it exists. Because a lot of people think it's just another stock market, and it's really not that. It's really, really not that. And this is why a lot of people lose money in crypto because they're doing the wrong things. So, yeah, it's one of the many, many ways to put that one. Yeah, and it's a true market also. It's a very important thing. Thank you for pointing that out there, crypto gains. It's a true market, and what that means is it's actually decentralized. And it's decentralized in a fashion that you are not relegated to a centralized entity's desires, right? Like you got the OA in HEX, right? And the OA owns approximately 90% of the supply, 95, something like that. But the thing about it is that supply is just sitting there. It's not doing anything. And the only time it moves, which it has, is to support the users of HEX, whether they're stakers or not. But they're being supported anytime that the OA does actually do something. And we can say this because that's what we have on record. So the imaginary horribles are irrelevant when people start talking about the OA. I don't care who they are. They're just irrelevant. Because we go by empirical evidence in the real world. We don't go by imaginary horribles, so we don't give a fuck about that. That's just stupid. Period. And from an analytical perspective, it's just asinine. So, some people might not like that, but, who gives a fuck? It is what it is, and that's literally how it works. So, moving on. Let's see. No. Do I think that the government is going to make their own digital CD? The answer is no, because the goal is for you to be broke. You need to look up the World Economic Forum and just watch all their videos and stuff. That's all you need to know right there. So you will own nothing and be happy. That's their goal. So if you're not in tune, please find out. Yeah, no, it's not. It's literally not. People love making that argument, but it's not. It's not backed by the U.S. military. And if you haven't noticed, the U.S. military really isn't much of a military nowadays. So if that is the case, that's a very bad example. So, yeah. Haha. Thanks, bro. So let's see what other stuff you got in here. Yeah, I don't really get your line of questioning now, so we're just gonna move on. No, you're actually not. So you might want to work on that. Um, but yeah, these are the types of things that you got to understand. You got to understand the big picture, what's going on in the world, why crypto even matters, because again, this is not just a stock market. And that's the biggest error people make when it comes to this. This is why they end up in reg bill. Plain and simple. No qualms about it. That's exactly why. So when you sit there and you start trying to play this game that there isn't one to play, it's very straightforward. This is software. So you have to do your due diligence and make sure that the software operates as advertised. It's really that simple, right? Because that's what it's supposed to be. Oh, crypto that you can use to transfer value without intermediaries. Boom, done. It's not rocket science, but people love making it so because all the ideas sound so tempting. And I get it because I was stuck in in that phase of thought at one point in time. So I get it, but it's just not reality. Nobody needs a crypto to track your fucking socks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just dumb. If people want to buy that shit, they're gonna buy it though. And that's simply how it goes, you know? And that's what you have to understand. Utility might not always jive with reality. That's why you have things that don't make sense, right? Like, you're gonna have that from time to time. There's no doubt about it. Because that what's going on, brother?
Hey,
Because
man.
because that's where you gotta sit there and think about it. Utility is sometimes lost on the actual user because the user is simply enamored with whatever that thing is that they're buying. This is why you got meme coins galore. This is why you got NFTs galore, right? Just because price goes up doesn't mean there's actually value there. And this is a very common mistake that people make. You know what I mean? When it comes to how they perceive a market. And people really conflate. Like, one thing I really don't like about Hex, which is to people's detriment, is when they conflate Hex with Richard. Like, that shit ain't got nothing to do with them. Like, Hex is done. He did what he had to do with it. And he's just trying to get it noticed. That's it. Because he's the guy that created it. Simply put. So when people start banking and talking all this crazy shit, like if Hex is dependent on RH, I just look and laugh because it's so far from the truth. It's not even funny. Like, nobody did anything for Bitcoin, and look at what's happened with Bitcoin. Nothing. Nobody's done a damn thing for ETH, and look at what's happened with ETH. And you have this whole gaggle fuck of people out here pushing the message out the right way, which you didn't have for these other two coins, which are behemoths now. And this coin is actually good. It's not some fucking joke, right? Like Bitcoin and ETH. It's not. Even though Hex sits on ETH. But that's beside the point, right? The point of the matter is what ETH does versus what Hex does. Hex does what it's supposed to do, no problem. And that's what it's about. ETH, it's supposed to be a network that you can use to conduct, your transactions. But can you really? I don't know. That's up for debate.
Well, yeah, not if you're trying to work with $5 or $10 or $20, which is a lot of
Yeah.
money in some parts of the world.
Right, but that's the thing. This is a question that has an absolute answer: is yes or no.
No. Well,
You know what
yes.
I'm saying? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's as simple as that. Oh, Thas is around. All right, I'll throw you the link.
All right, thoughts too. Sweet.
You know what I mean? But that's how it is. It's not like I sent it to you on Telegram. Let me know if you want it somewhere else. The link, no homo. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I've been talking about this same thing a lot lately. A lot. I love that you're going there.
Yeah, I mean it's imperative, man. It's imperative because people have to understand. Like, the hype over a move to 5 cents is sad. I think it's sad. It's like, when you hype over a move to 5 cents, what are you gonna do when we hit $10? You jumping out of a window? Like, what's gonna
Right.
happen? I don't know. Cause I don't frankly give a fuck about a move to 5 cents. I don't give a fuck about a move to 50 cents. I'm looking further out than that. That's why my
100%.
stakes are deep, in terms of time.
Well,
I'm
it's
thinking
interesting
big,
that
right?
narrative, people are really scared about the future. I mean, to the point where they just don't want to think about it. A lot of people are only concerned about the next 6 months, the next year, the next 2 years, and so Hex really lengthened my time frame. Like, it gave me a
Yeah.
lot of hope in
Well,
the future.
hold on. You say Hex did, but the funny thing is, well, check this out. The funny thing is that for me, Bitcoin lengthened out my time horizon. I was already looking for a Hex before I found it.
Yeah, well,
Capiche? It's sick, isn't it?
you knew it.
Cause,
Yeah.
cause that's the reality. Cause I fucked up Bitcoin. So because I fucked up Bitcoin, I was
Uh,
looking for the next Bitcoin trade, which ended up being Hex. Because it's a no-brainer once you understand the fucking game. But
right. Well, that's why all these people are in shiny object syndrome. They think they already
yeah,
missed Hex, and it's like, that was one cycle, 10,000x in
they
one
think they
cycle.
missed Hex. They think
Yeah,
they missed Hex.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. You didn't miss anything. I mean, you missed 10,000x. So, but that just tells you
Right.
where we're going. Buckle up.
Correct. And it's crazy because if you looked at how every crypto moves up, they all do the same thing. And then if you sit there and look at how every market moves up, which I've done a stream on this as well, guess what? Take a wild guess. Do you think it's different or the same?
Same.
That's right. So
It's
everything does the same thing. You just gotta sit your ass down and wait. Literally, that's why that line is so famous. Sit your ass down and wait. And people think they gotta do all these jumping jacks. Like, no, those jumping jacks will get your ass broke. Literally, literally.
yep. Well, it's not all the same, and I guess that's the problem. And I think almost some of that's intentional. I don't know. I mean, because like I was looking, somebody said something earlier on a stream about it, and it's so funny because we're flooded with so many cryptos that it really dilutes like the real ones. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
so much
yeah,
fake crypto that people have this such a confused perspective. They don't know what the hell to do or what to believe or where to go, and then they find Hex, and it's like you'd think they just it takes a long time to really get Hex, I think. Even
yeah,
though
yeah,
you might get like the initials, like you said, I mean, you got this and this and this, and staking on top of it, like that should
yeah,
be end of story. But then,
yeah, yeah. And then there's more to it after that, dude.
yeah,
If you look at my first like 10, 20 streams, it was just like discovery after discovery after discovery after it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I mean, the first 20, right? I'm talking about double digits, and I got
wow,
hundreds of streams,
yeah,
man.
I need to go.
So the work is there. So people know I know Hex, like, and we're still finding out shit about it because of time. Because like, look at these stakes that are ending at 1,000
Mm.
plus days now. I mean, they all have an APY of 50%. Period. 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 So, what do you think an APY of 5,000 plus days is gonna look like, you dumb motherfucker? And
And now
and
we
this,
got
and hold on, because hold on, we talking about 50% to date, multiplied by 5, not including what the penalties are gonna be over time. Ah, what? I mean, we don't even need charts to talk. Like, this is just come on.
I wonder how many
Crazy.
people have staked Hex not realizing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like that there's a penalty, that they're locked
Mm-mm.
up,
I don't know.
because it seems like plenty of people have EES'd maybe because of that, like they just got in and got stuck. And I don't know, there was a lot of EESing lately, even with that big
Yeah,
move.
yeah. I don't know, but I'm just hoping people keep being disappointed because I love it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's incredible.
Yep, for sure, bro. I mean,
Give me a second.
you good, bro. Go ahead. When you sit here and you think about what Hex is, how it works, there is no debate as far as value existing. The value is inherent in the utility of the protocol and the fact that the protocol does always as it says it's going to do. I mean, people got to understand that is just not something you find elsewhere. It's really not.
No, and
And
it's almost
that's
funny. It's like Gary Gensler just gave us an ad directly for Hex. I mean,
Rex,
it
yeah.
just blows my
Yeah.
mind.
That's the craziest thing about the whole scenario in my mind. You know, it's like, wow, this motherfucker really went all out just for Hex. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
I
Like,
swear.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's Richard's line and everything. Like, it's weird, dude. Honestly, it's weird. I mean, I love it. I think, but
hey,
it's scary weird almost.
it'd
Like,
be
what's
funny if he's
going
the guy with on the low.
on?
Because
Yeah,
motherfuckers love, they love tracking some other motherfucker's money. I don't really give a fuck about that shit, but some people do.
yeah. I don't know. I don't. Oh,
Yeah.
God, how much time you got to want to waste on that? Like,
Yeah,
cause
none. I actually don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I've never found a value in being in digging in the chain. Like at the end of the day, if you're seeing the transactions hitting the chain, that's the value. Period.
Yep.
Who's doing what and why? We're never gonna know. They could have 100 wallets. They could have thousands of wallets. They could be mass sending transactions. You don't fucking know. Like you don't know. How you supposed to know? I don't
Yeah.
know. And that's why I don't really find much value in it. You want to hone in on one person? Sure, I get it. But again, what are you really gathering from tracing what they're doing on one address? Not much.
Yeah. The Godwell's really the only address I'm interested in, for the
Well,
most
there's
part.
a lot of big wallets though. That's the thing. There's a lot
Yeah.
of big wallets. It's not just one.
Right. Well, and all this talk about Hex and the OA, it's like, well, yeah, the OA's basically done very little, and it's been benevolent. I mean, what's more important to me are the ones that are actually working the price action. The big liquidity providers, not not the OA, that are making the moves and setting the pools and setting the price. That's
Yeah,
way more important to me.
for sure.
And they're doing it.
100%.
I mean, from my amateur perspective, they're doing a bang up job, as far as I can
But
tell.
but that's the whole thing. Like before you hopped on, I was saying like we have empirical evidence of what the OA does. We don't need to discuss what might or might not be. Like we have evidence. So all these imaginary horribles are irrelevant.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Because people they love to harp on these imaginary horribles. Seriously, it's disgusting. It's like, are we gonna spend our days, living what could be if we don't do ABC 1, 2, 3? Like you ain't never gonna do nothing if that's the case.
That's what they want, I swear. I mean, that's part of the system. I don't know who they is, but I mean, imagine just from the market perspective, I
Well,
mean, what they
I'm
want is
talking about
confusion.
all the haters and anybody that's naysaying Hex, because anytime they naysay it, they always naysay it with a what if.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Even
that's the
even people
thing.
within the community do that shit. Like,
Yep.
get the fuck out of here, you schmucks.
It's- I've I've been in a debate today with two different people on another token, and it's like they just keep, yeah, bringing up imaginary horribles about Zen, and
Hmm.
then totally ignoring like what
Mm,
charts we already have. Okay,
yeah,
let's just stick with
let's.
what we got. Compare
Yeah,
this chart and
let's.
this chart. Which one do you
Yeah,
want to be in? Like, come on. Like, well, the future, the promise, the this or that. I'm like, we didn't come here for promises. You know
Nope.
what I mean?
No, that's why again I don't even talk about trash. It's not worth my time.
Yeah, that,
It's
you know,
like,
business.
like if you're
I
dumb enough to think there's value in something that literally
has none.
like the none, cool. Knock yourself out. Hope you get lucky, bro. That's all. Because that's what that's gonna be.
Well, it's funny because this, they're shifting the narrative. Like, like, oh, first principles, this or that. I'm like, wait, isn't the first principle to make money? Honestly, I mean,
That's
like,
what I thought.
sure, holding your own bags is awesome. But if there's nothing in the bag, then there's no point in holding it. I don't know.
Right. Yep. Pretty much. I
Like,
mean,
we just don't have enough time. We got to focus on the stuff that works. Period. You know what I
correct.
mean? Like,
This is why that's what I'm a maxi of, and that's why I love Hex. Period.
yeah.
I mean, it's not hard.
It's so easy. I mean, one cycle, 10,000x, one cycle. We are definitely early, from my opinion. That's definitely my opinion. But like compared to what else I'm looking at, like I can't see any better.
I mean, this is why I love tracking the data. Like I remember when I first started watching Hex streams, it's like, what are we talking about? Like, where's the shit? Like, I don't want to just hear nothing. Like people talking about nothing is nothing. Where's the data? And that's why I started making charts for this shit, and I wanted to show people that just so they could see what they actually owned. Because that's the biggest thing. The average person has no idea that that's what they need to worry about. When it comes to software, you need to worry about how that motherfucker works. Simply put, nothing else. The logo and all that shit could be nice, but if it ain't working right, then it's not going to be around long, so it's not going to actually matter.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where you got to just do better, man. I don't even
That
know.
dude, that's
You know, I,
Richard's just getting in my head more and more. The less I see him on stream, even like, I mean, I hardly don't get him like I used to, but he just keeps getting in more and more and more. Like that do better is like my mantra daily on for anything. I love
I
it.
didn't even know he said it. I mean, it's just obvious.
Oh, he always
Do
just,
better.
yeah, yeah. He
Just do
has a
better,
lot.
bro. It's
We
like,
gotta do better. Well, I'm probably gonna have to hop off here. I got
no worries, brother.
customers. I'm at the shop, but I wanted to,
No worries.
hop in and say, hey,
No doubt, brother. Catch you later, man.
you the man. Thanks, Wales.
Peace. So yeah, it's interesting indeed, because when you sit here and you think about what people focus on when it comes to debate time, it's interesting how it's always the imaginary horribles and not what it is. You know. Uh and what's up to everybody in the chat? I hope everybody's having an outstanding Friday, because we got way more people now than when we started. Um, you gotta really you gotta understand, you know, like I spent a long time trying to understand Hex. This is why I can come up here and talk about it. I'm not just trying to be some streamer. I'm actually trying to give people, valid info. You know what I mean? And that's something that it's not something that people are used to. And I get that. But that's what's happening, so you gotta just get used to that, because that's literally all that's happening here. Uh, and why do we care about this data? Why do we care about the network growth? Why do we care about the staking? Why do we care about the penalties? Why do we care about all these different things? Well, we care because they impact the value of the network. Simple as that. Nothing else to it. How else do you make sense of that, right? Because that's ultimately what it's about. It's not about anything else. So, how do you justify it, right? Because plainly, um, this is what people want. People want lots of money, but they don't understand it. And that's kind of where the trap is set. They get you chasing something you don't understand. And that's the biggest that's ultimately the biggest drawback for Hex. Straight up. Because how can something so good be so contested? Doesn't make any sense. But this is ultimately what we consistently see. And what are you supposed to do with that? Keep buying, because anytime something is misunderstood and you understand it clearly, it's only a matter of time, not if, right? So you have to operate from that vantage point. You do, because you have no other option. It's the only thing that makes sense. That's literally the only thing that makes sense. So how are you going to pretend something else is going on? You literally can't do that. And a lot of people do. And this is why many miss, investment opportunities. I remember when I was coming up, Amazon was one of the most hated stocks. Amazon. I mean, that thing went up to I don't know how many thousands of dollars, right? Priceline, another one. Now, why were these the most hated stocks? Because they didn't make money for a long period of time. The companies didn't make money for a long period of time. But those that bought the stock understood why that was the case. Those that complained about the company not making money got left behind because they didn't take the time to understand. Now, there's a moral in that story. We'll take a look at both of those stocks later on. I think Priceline might have been taken private, but we'll see. Just to wrap our heads around. Matter of fact, fuck that. We'll do that right now. Because it's that serious. People got to understand when they're being lied to. And we see a lot of liars out here pretending like they fucking have a clue when they don't have a fucking thing. This is why they're on Twitter being loud. This is why they're doing this. This is why they're doing that. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, who got time for that shit? Seriously. Who? I don't know. But nobody with a fucking life and shit to do got time for that. So anyways, here's Amazon, right? Now, this shit has been split, I don't know how many times. Let me see if I don't think I got it set up in the settings to show the events. Because it's some of these stocks, man, they got a lot of damn splits. Maybe it's a time frame. Let me see. Maybe it only shows on the daily. Yep. So the orange one is when the split happened. Let me see what this split is. 20-1. So you multiply this price by 20, and that gives you the price that it was up until that point in time. Let me see if there's any other splits around here. That might actually be the only one, because that's a pretty big split. They're usually low numbered, 2, 3. Nah, I don't think I've seen many double-digit ones. Maybe I'm not paying attention. We'll see. Here's another example: 2-1, 3-1, 2-1. So every time a price was, say, 100, it got cut in half to 50, but the shares got multiplied by 2. That's what this means. Here, same deal, but by 3. Here, same deal, but by 2. So that's basically the whole history. You got 4 splits, with the biggest one being the most recent one, which is interesting when you think about that, given all the financial debauchery that's happened over the past. Oh wait, I missed one. Did I? Oh no. Okay, so just 4 total. Uh, 2 for 2 splits, 2 for 1 splits, and 1 3 for 1. So I guess if you start with 100, uh, say you start with 100 shares or one 100 share stock, right? Then you went to 50 share stocks. Then you went to 3 for 2 or 3 for 1. So then that would be 6 at whatever the value would be for 100, right? Because I'm gonna just try to keep it flat and just keep dividing the number. I want you to understand the number of shares that this one share has grown into. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get to here. So you started with 1, then that 1 grew to 2, then that 2 grew to 6, and that 6 grows to 12. Then that 12 grew by 20. That's the last count. So you could have bought $100 share stock, 20 years ago on Amazon, and that one stock could now be 20. No, I'm sorry. It would be 12 times 20. How much is that? Just because I don't want to do the math in my head real quick. 240 $100 stocks. So you could have started out with one $100 stock and be up to $24,000 just from that. So what's the premise in that story? The premise in that story is that's how much that one share has gone up in fake value. Fake value. Now, why do I say fake value? I say fake value. Wow, this shit looks like it's gonna crater actually. Hold on, guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. It was just real loud back there. Anyway, so we talking about 7 cent low, $188 high. Hated the whole way up, and then meanwhile, one share grew to 240 shares. That's what you got to understand here. Can you guys not hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Because there's a loud siren in the back, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with you guys. Let me know, yes or no. Sound check, please. All right, thank you. So yeah, we're talking about, what was the other one that I said? Priceline. Let's see if that thing is even around the public anymore. Yeah, it's not. It's not public anymore. But that was another one. I don't know if you guys remember that William Shatner was looking. Let me see if this is one that was like that also. Nah. But I don't know if you guys remember William Shatner was one of their most popular spokesmen. And guess what? He got paid in Priceline stock. That's right. Not in money, but Priceline stock. So he knew something that somebody else did. So he made out like a bandit. Because that stock went up crazy, just like this. 2,000, look at this, $2,000 stock. At one point was $6. And this was back after the NASDAQ crash. So, yep, August 28th, 2002 was the 55-day, around the 55-day period, or when that 55-day period started. But anyway, let's see if we got stock splits here also. I'm going to bank on there being a yes. Huh. Maybe no. Oh, of course. Here's one. 1 for 6. Oh, so they went the other way. They reduced the share count. Interesting. All right. So this one went the other way. Started with one stock. You ended up with a 6. So you went from $100 or one share to a sixth of a share. But if it went from 100, you would take that 100 and take that 234 divided by 6, and that would be your actual ROI from that perspective. So that's a good one. You know, they're just going into hiding basically. That's all that means. In short, crash is coming and they don't want to have to show their books. That's what that means. For anybody that's interested. But yeah. So these are the things you guys got to understand. This is why it was so easy for me to make the bet on a 15-year trade. You had the instance of Bitcoin, the instance of the existence of these other stock plays that I've already seen in my lifetime. You know, all these things that just make it obvious what the trade is. You know, and that's something you got to understand yourself. You know, nobody else is going to really be able to force you to understand it, because understanding is what gives you that confidence. It's really not anything else. You know, it's really not. And I don't know, man. I feel like that's one of the biggest issues that exist at large, um, just within the community. You know, because people want that 120x now. You know, they don't want to wait for that shit. They want that shit tomorrow. You know, they want to put that money in and drive off the lot. You know, they don't want to wait. So, you know, that's one of those things that it really kills a lot of people's future because they don't understand what they're doing. And unless you really study the game, you know, you're not really gonna do the right thing. You're gonna mess it up, whether you want to or not. You know, because nobody wants to not win, but so many people do not. Why do you think that is? It's not a coincidence. You know, that's because you're not making the right decisions ultimately. Really that simple. And you got to be okay with that, because if you're not, then you're never going to learn to make the right decisions. You know, and that's on you. Nobody can fault you on that. You're going to ultimately be the sufferer of those choices. And then you'll remember, oh, all that stuff that one guy said was right. Damn. Yeah. And that's fine, because, you know, that's part of the process. If you don't try to figure it out when somebody says it, then that ultimately becomes, you know, the process you're gonna have to go through. There's just no two ways about it. So, you know, take it as it comes, basically, because there's not much else you can do about it specifically, right? If you're not willing to do anything about it. So now let's go through these charts. So this is for yesterday's crossover. It's only 5 p.m. Eastern over here. So that means we still got a couple hours before the crossover. So no data for today. Interestingly enough, I have the entire correlation history here. So you read this going across. You see you got Hex, T-Share, Ethereum, and BTC. And then across the bottom, the x-axis, you got Hex, T-Share, ETH, BTC as well. And you read this going from left to right, one column at a time. For whichever column you want, a row, one row at a time for whichever row you want. So if I want to know what the correlation is between Hex and Bitcoin, I go to Hex, go across all the way to the Bitcoin column, and then I see this 0.17 correlation, meaning they're slightly positively correlated, but they're within that range of no correlation though. And what that means is that over time, they might go in the same direction from time to time, but ultimately, correlation is minimal. And here is proof of that. So here we have a 21-day rolling moving average. This is basically the 21-day moving average for the rolling correlations. And what you'll gather from this here is that whether it's Hex, T-shares, BTC correlation between both is the same. Same thing when it comes to ETH. You'll see a 44% rolling positive correlation at this moment as of yesterday, and 55% versus ETH. And the Hex versus T-share rolling correlation is 1, of course, because that's what it's supposed to be. And that's what you see. Now, what I want you guys to focus on is the range, because the range is what tells you the story. It's really not these numbers. These numbers are just a snapshot in time. They don't tell you the story. The range is what tells you the story. Hold on, guys. It's actually like summer out here today, so good question. Do I think that Hex on PulseChain will significantly increase the amount of staking action? And I think the answer is yes, because the main issue with PulseChain, or I'm sorry, Ethereum, is the cost of doing transactions. It's inhibitive. It's not conducive to network growth. And that's ultimately why PulseChain is needed for cryptocurrency at large, because Bitcoin isn't the avenue for crypto growth, and neither is Ethereum, undoubtedly, regardless of the fact that it is the main network, financial rail network for crypto. But guess what? Given the fact that it's inhibitive for it to become decentralized, for new entrants to come in and transact, et cetera, it's it defeats the purpose of existence. It might as well just not exist. So it is what it is. So back to this here. We got a pretty much a peak of 80% correlation. Excuse me, guys. And then we have a minimum negative correlation of about 30%, right? That seems to be the minimum, the maximum minimum, right? Versus the maximum maximum, meaning the highest high versus the lowest low. Um, and these values are what you would basically take and split into, right? So what did I say? 80 to 30, that's 110. Divide that by 2, and what do we get? Excuse me, 55, right? So since there's a negative component to that valuation, we would have to take the positive. What's going on, fam?
What up?
We take that positive chunk, and that positive chunk would be the weighted positive portion of that 55 number. So since it was 80 and what was the other? 80 to 30. We take 80, right? Divided by 110, and that would probably be like 75%, 70 something. So then 70 some percent of 55 would be the positive chunk, right? Of this delta that we're trying to suss out here, because what we're trying to find is where does these max and min ranges, where does it cut this chart in half? Because that's how we're going to know the correlation for this range, like the all out correlation for this range. Because that's ultimately what we're doing when we're looking at an average. We're trying to figure out what is it, where's that middle point where it's going to really hit? Like, where is that point that it's like, what's the best way to put it? Where there's no confusion about what's going on.
Hey, Wales, I
What up?
can't see the key really clearly. Is this pink, this kind of salmon color? Is that the hex price?
Yeah. The salmon pinkish color is the X price.
Okay, I got you.
Everything else are the rolling correlations, and you'll see the legend over here on the left side, upper left.
Yeah, my eyes are broken.
Yeah, and it's not really the best zoom on this damn thing either. Yeah, it's already at 200%. You can't even tell that it is. So it's not really the best. Might have to show this shit some other way. So the next time.
Well, that heat map, man, that's kind of that plot graph, and that heat map is what really visually for me, like, made me understand.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If like the thing about these squiggly lines is that they're not relevant. What you got to do is you got to take the peak and the trough,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the exercise I'm running through right now. You take the peak and the trough, and you figure out what's the actual story, because that's the
Yeah.
only way to do it. All this squiggly stuff isn't really telling you nothing.
Well, that's what most of crypto is.
Right,
Bunch of squiggly lines.
right.
I think they call it spaghetti code over there, Bitcoin, right?
Well, that's everything over there at Bitcoin. So okay, so if we take
Good breakfast.
um
Doc.
let's take some new shit, right? If we take uh 80 divided by 110, right, that's 72%. So 72% of 55, you got 40. So that means 40 minus 15, right? So 25% of the time, right? So you're somewhere in here as far as the average correlation over this point in time, or that median maybe correlation over this point in time, right? But this area here is what splits all this stuff that's happened over all this time is split in half right here.
I mean, in my experience, the thing that I keep observing is that, like, over there in the second, fifth, we'll say, of the chart you're showing, you'll have a period of time where, sure, it's happening, but then people see something like that. They take that slice, right? And they go, oh, Hex totally is correlated. And you're like, dude, you're selectively seeing what's going on.
Because it goes up and down. And that's the whole point.
And there's sometimes where it's just entirely divergent.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing, right? And this is why people, again, they use their opinions to speak, and they don't stick to the facts, and they don't understand that.
Oh, I got a good meme for that.
And that's why we just ignore that shit. But again, you do all that crap just to split this shit in two and see where you're at. And the whole point of that is because you want to see what price is doing once it's going above or below that level. That's really it. No, it's not about anything else. So now moving on to the next chart. This chart is showing you the staked HEX percentage amount, left-hand scale. The staked HEX and the integer value on the right-hand scale. So this is 65 billion, right? 65.2 billion. White line, of course, is X price on this chart, 4.2 cents yesterday. But today is at 4.5 cents last check. And what you'll notice here is that during this price pump, you really haven't had much of a stake pump. It's really been menial. Well, 0.1% isn't a lot. It's really not. So, and then this was God Whales. So, what's up?
Just the God whale.
Yeah, it should ends on Monday, I think, or Tuesday. Something
How
like
many billions was that?
that. 2.2, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, something like that. So here's another chart to give people a different perspective. This is from Big Payday. Lower left is a past, what is it, 400, 500 days or so. So from day 750 on forward, over here, lower left. And lower right is past 150 days or so, 160 days. And as you can see, Hex has been it's been on a tear lately, right? This is what you see in this lower right panel. Um, Relative to the panel to the left, we just show it as probably just recovering, right? So what I get from this chart is that it'll probably come back down to this level, looking like 3, maybe 2.8 to recover, and then continue its path onward. And this is assuming, right? This is this level here, 2.8 cents or so, and this is assuming, of course, that all them sellers that bought in that FOMO fashion, right? Because PulseChain was coming out next week and all that shit. Now it's not. So now everybody got to sell everything.
Huh.
Because you can see it in the data, bro. People ain't staking. You know what I'm saying? Like, relative to the amount of coins being bought, like, the
Yeah, we
staking,
spoke about this on my
yeah,
last stream that you were
yeah,
on.
yeah, the staking is being done in that fashion. So it is what it is. Here we got how many hex for $1? As of yesterday, you could get 23.75 hex for $1. That was at the price that you saw earlier, 4.2 cents. Now, at one point, 55 hex to $1. Nobody wanted to even talk about hex. It was all about PulseChain. Don't forget, because I didn't, and I ain't gonna. And I'm gonna remind you every time exactly why I made this chart. To remind all the losers that were talking about anything but hex during this whole time. Because people really were not fucking with hex at all until last week.
I know.
Magically.
Well, it's reflected in the attendance population of the Twitter spaces. Those
I don't fuck with
things
that
are
shit,
just
so I
so
wouldn't know.
silly, man. Why I observe it, man.
Mhm.
And it's just if anything, it's a barometer for detection of stupidity. So that's kind of how I utilize it.
Right.
As it would go up in increments
Right.
of a penny, it would increase the population and attendance in these Twitter spaces by a factor of like 20 to 30 individuals. It's pretty
Sure.
funny.
That's funny. Well,
And
that's
then the
kind of
last time I was on them, when we were getting in between 5 and 6 cent, guess what they talked about? That entire Hex drive to 6 cents Twitter space. The topic, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, was Chia. Okay, what the fuck, man? I'm like, whoa.
yeah. Just do me a favor. Don't mention crap
Oh,
on my
sorry.
stream. All good, bro.
My bad.
All good.
I did it to bring home a point, but I get what you're saying as well.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, right? You get all these funny style motherfuckers up in the community, and others just let it rock. Like, if it's okay to get disrespected like that. And that's why I just steer clear and don't fuck with nobody, because
Mm-hmm.
they're fake as fuck, and they're clearly not trying to do what needs to be done. They're trying to do what works best for them. Because if you have the solution here already, well, what else do you need, bro?
It just bothers me a little bit. I don't know. Loyalty isn't the word. It's kind of more like intelligence and discernment.
Well, that's
But
non-existent.
it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? Attitude, and if you ain't done nothing for me lately,
Right.
then I should probably consider every fucking thing that comes across my desk. And I'm just like, oh my God, do you realize how much groundwork you would have to lay to make the case for what it is that you're talking about that has been in existence for, I don't know, less than 3 months? But by all means, please go ahead. If you want to undertake that, go right ahead. blows me
Yeah,
away.
well, people
I'm
are
sorry.
funny,
Get
bro.
back to your charts, which are infinitely more important.
All good. So t-shirt rate 24,727 actually now. It went up another 3 hex. So that's 15 plus basically. And what I want people to notice is how the changes are just double digits consistently, right? Like this is not up and down anymore like it was before. It's just consistently all the time now.
Damn.
10, 12, 15 hex.
If you were shooting at a target, you'd say, nice grouping there. Nice
Right,
grouping on that
right,
straight
right,
line.
right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's not the case here. People are just getting shredded to bits. Thinking they could dodge these motherfuckers right here. Like it's nice grouping, all right, and you on the wrong side if you ain't staked.
Right, right. That's a lawnmower right there.
Fucking
That's a wood
right.
chipper.
Yeah, it's just getting sawed up, and people don't want to respect their pockets, bro. It's all good. I mean, hey, just like you see those stakes ending with 1,000 days in service, and
Yeah.
they are ending with 50% APY after just 1,000 days. Oh man, you kidding me?
That that
What
kind
what
of
is it?
yield doesn't exist out in the world.
Well, period. And this is what I'm saying. So why wouldn't I do it for 5 times the length of that? I don't understand. It's a no-brainer. Like it's a no-brainer, man. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, if
It's
if
crazy.
people do things like that when in actual point of fact they should go 5, 10 times as far intelligently, but then the
Right, right, right.
justification is this is my parachute, right? In case something goes wrong or happens, even out in the world. To that, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
simply say, if that's the case, then you have a lot bigger problems to worry about than that.
Yep.
Like you might want to think about like your water or some shit.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. People gotta learn how to think about this investment situation because it's not something you should be, doing if you can't. I guess is the best way to put it. Especially if you're gonna really not have another out. Like you gotta really be smart about it. So here we got the average payoff for T share, and we got 21, 34, and 55 days. Right, and each one is pretty much around 6.4 hex per T share, which is interesting because they're all very different moving averages. So we're probably going to get a breakout at some point soon because that seemed to be how it happens typically. Some happens that you'll get the moving averages that compress for a while and then boom, some dip.
I was going to say, and for the new people, those spikes represent the EESing or the early
Yeah,
end staking penalties that we all get to enjoy for holding firm.
that's right. It's a beautiful thing, bro. It's a beautiful thing. I'm writing a paper that goes into the impact
Oh, is this
of
the academic paper you were telling me about a while ago?
right,
Oh,
yeah.
good. We need these, more of these.
And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, the penalty rewards adds about 4.5% on top of just the yield that the system is already generating on average. So for every day it's existed, that's the average.
Bet you
4.5.
Dr. Diraj could write some pretty sick academic papers.
Yeah.
Come on, Doc. Put down the golden mic, pick up the pen.
But yeah, he's the one with the PhD. Yeah, I don't even got that. But yeah, I mean it's interesting stuff when you sit here and start breaking all that stuff down. You start looking at it, and you start seeing how valuable the system really is. I mean, it's uncanny. 'Cause, I mean, this charts that people can't even fathom that I haven't shown anybody, and I won't. Cause you got to keep something up your sleeve. Cause once this thing goes, you know, out there, people are gonna want to know this shit, and they're not gonna really believe that this is real for a long time. And by the time people are able to accept it, it's gonna be so late. Oh man, and it's crazy because it's here right now, and all you gotta do is do some research. It's not even like it's hard, which is a sad thing.
Hey,
Just take some
Wales,
time.
can I ask
Yeah,
you a question? It
sure.
relates to the comment by Drady here about the 15-year ladder. And then when your yearly stake ends, you drop a new 15. That makes perfect sense to me. My question is, you guys who really think on your feet, do you ever design your ladders out with intent as part of your design to dodge bears at their lowest? Do you ever try and project that out?
I mean, the only thing you can really do is go off the Bitcoin cycle because that's the only evidence we have. You can't really do
Okay,
anything
right.
else, you know. So if anybody's thinking about that, that's really the only solution to that answer.
Okay. And then Freedom 35 probably accurately predicts that God will restakes on the 14th.
But we'll see. We don't know what he's gonna do. We presume. We don't really know.
True.
That stake ends on the 14th. We don't know what is gonna happen with it, actually. So we'll see. It's his money. He can do whatever he wants. So we'll see. But important to note. Damn, what the hell was I gonna say? Because I forgot until you said that. What were you talking about right before you said God will restake?
Well, I was talking about if intelligently designing your ladders and doing projections.
Yeah. So check this out, right? The interesting thing about ladders is that, I remember now people were talking about, I was saying the Bitcoin, the 3-year low. Yeah. So you could literally do 3-year cycled ladders, right? That end either every third year, right? From the top, right? So that would have been like November 2017, November 2020, November 2020. What was that? Um, one. Yeah, November 2021. Then I guess the next one would be November 2024, right? Like you could just layer them out like that every 3 years, so you hit 15, and just keep. That's one way to do it. So many ways to do it, right? You just gotta know why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and that's the important thing, because that's the beauty behind the system, is that you got one day all the way out to 5,555 you can select. Like, you do whatever you want. So look, so far there's been 1,164 days or so, 65 days or so, and the system has paid out 5,926 hex per T share. That's just one T share. So pretty sick. Current holders have grown during the bear market. This is from like day 650 forward to the count tune of 69,261. Stakers have grown 59,183. So this is during the bear market. So as you guys can see from the price here, this is basically the top. So whatever day that was, that's what the beginning is, and this is what's happened during the bear market. And this is the stuff you got to know. This is why you buy the bottoms, because this isn't going to go to zero. It's just a 95% retracement, because it can only go but so far. T-share action. Yesterday's payout was 6.872 hex per T-share. And as you guys can see, that one was up in the upper bound of the range that we typically see. And I mean, this keeps happening, and we keep losing T-shares. Soon enough, we'll be in that 6.5 area consistently, and that'll be juicy, especially when there's EES involved, because then we're talking about adding, and at least that's for now, 4.5% on average on top of what the system is already generating. I mean, you can't really beat that. That's just, where do you get alpha for free, like without putting in any work? And that's really the crux of it. Only in Hex can you do that. So okay, Hex was born December 2nd, 3rd, 2019. It's February 10th, 2023. So we've got 3 years in the bag, fully operational. And if you do 3.69 times 3, you'll come to realize that it is not 6.016. And that is the relevance of this chart, meaning that this system is already deflationary. Something to chew on. The Hex stakers that are no longer with us. So, for the entire history of Hex, we've lost 33,208 stakers, but have gained and kept 118,421 stakers. through bear markets and all. Average stake length is at 6.5 years. And of course, this drop that you're seeing here is thanks to the Godwell with its 2.2 billion count hex for 45 days. And the cost of a T-share. So I realized I have made an error on the T-share cost here, on the middle one, the one that I had divided in two. And for half a T-share, that's $500 or 909 days. So that's what that would have actually been. Here, 365 days. This is always going to be the cheapest. 3,650 days is always going to be the cheapest T-share because that's where the rewards max out at. So yeah, that's typically the one you want because that's typically the one that's going to give you the most buying power. That's going to be the most valuable T-share, always by default. Beautiful thing. Staker retention, we're at 78.1%, and we've been there for a while, and that's all right. The less the merrier. That's the reality, and this is what this chart shows. Because the less of the coins staked as a percentage of the total supply, the higher the ROI return for those in the actual pool. And this is what this graphic shows. This is why you see single digits on the x-axis and triple digits on the y-axis. And that's what it's laid out over here in this table as well. So we've gone over the reason why people don't understand value, right? I showed you these Amazon chart. I wanted to show you that Priceline chart, but I showed you the booking.com chart instead, which is kind of the same thing. I think they're the ones that bought our Priceline, if I remember correctly. But I'm not really going to look into that. You guys can look that up. Look into who bought out Priceline if you want to find out who. But net story is that the stock is the same. It's a 4-figure stock by the time it was bought out. Booking.com, the same scenario. What was the other one? Amazon, you had one share that started out and ended up being 240 shares, right? Multiplied by 100, right? So that's a 24,000 shares, $24,000 share, basically, right? And this is what happens when people do not understand something. And that thing receives so much hate, right? And this is the perfect storm. And this is exactly what you see in HEX. Everybody hates it for no good reason. And only a small group of fanatical people love it. Similar to Apple. But except for that, Apple, always kind of did all right. The hate for Apple really didn't make any sense. But either way, point of the story is HEX, same ball game with HEX. And a lot of people are going to get left behind because they think it's cool to hate something instead of understand something. Because you're better off understanding and making a valid decision than just hating on it blindly. Because that's going to hurt a whole lot more. And a lot of people, they decide to make that choice instead. Nothing we can do about that but laugh. And that's what we're going to do. So, last time I streamed, I went over the CBDC stuff. And then all of a sudden, I know you guys saw the news that came out a couple of days after that the UK Bank of England, their Federal Reserve in short, is going to limit the amount you can have in your account from 10 to 20,000 pounds. So the shit ain't even out yet, and they're already telling you can't have none. Good luck, motherfuckers, because I've been telling y'all for 2 to 3 years what's coming. So whoever's not prepared, it's your own fault. Because again, I'm not here to be a star. I'm not here to be your savior. I'm here to tell you what's coming. And you can verify the shit I'm telling you.
That's right. It's absolutely correct. And the properly educated, right? They know, number one, you don't need to comply. And number two, it is your right to opt out. Now, you got to have the mechanisms in place to survive opting out, but that's there for us.
Yep.
You can opt out of this shit. And guess what? We just so happen to be in the one goddamn real DeFi crypto that is the best tool as a part of this whole opting out process.
Yep, that's exactly the point. That's precisely why I was confident enough to be able to step out of my comfort zone and stream about Hex, because I am not somebody that cares for attention. I don't want it. I don't give a fuck about it. People that think I'm out here trying to, I don't know what the fuck people are thinking, but I don't give a fuck because I ain't doing it. Anyway.
We
Uh,
know your game, man. We know you're just trying
oh,
to get a starring role
of
in a
course.
major Hollywood
Oh,
film from all
can't
this
you
shit.
tell? Look at all the headshots I got floating around online. You kidding me? I better get a hot roll soon. I need this money.
Yeah, the whale's headshots. Oh my
Yo, it's
god.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's like a ninja mask with a little slit for your little rat
Yeah,
eyes
yeah.
peeking out of it. It's
That
like,
shit
look at
was
this
funny.
guy.
Yeah, that shit was funny. Let me answer this question. What can you calculate and see the result if you want to look it up? How much it would be worth today if I had invested 1,000 USD on day 5? So the only thing you can really do is Excel and look at the price on day 5, and then do a return calculation relative to the day without staking. That's really all you can do. Hope you understood that, because that was the literal answer. Is a 50% return on 1,000? No, that's just the staking rewards. The 50%. We weren't talking about price appreciation. Now, if you want to do the math, you can go back and look to see where the price was 1,000 days ago, and that's easy, right? Like, let's just go back. This is 1160 right here, and this is going back to day 358. So this is 800 days. So let's go back a little bit further. I know I got a full spectrum view somewhere within this chart. It's in this chart deck. Let me see. Here we go. So 1,000 days is right here. Right? It's dead center between 0 and 200. So you do the math, folks. 50% on your coins plus I don't know how many X's. Don't know. I think this person have probably started this stake around a day 100 or something like that. I don't really remember exactly, but it was something like that. So the whole point is, time in the market is what yields results, not timing the market. And then on top of that, you're handsomely rewarded with crypto yield to the tune of 50%, apparently, over a 1,000-day period, because that's what I've been seeing on average. Now, the longer you wait, right, the more expensive a T-share gets, the less penalty earnings you accrue, the less everything you get. You get nothing because you're not staked. Something to think about. Let's see if you guys got any other questions. I'm pretty much done here. Nice quick one.
I got a meme there you could show if you feel like.
No. Well, I see it, yeah. Yep, nailed it. Nailed it.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Funny, yo.
Look at this. Yeah, that's funny, dude. He nailed you.
Yeah, it's just not my shit. I don't give a fuck about that.
I know. My weekend is going to consist of me in the office, me in the kitchen, and I think I have an exciting couple trips planned to the bathroom. Should be throwing
those vacations.
Staycation like a motherfucker.
Oh, you know it, baby. Nothing like a home vacation. Can't beat it.
It's too much to do. I got too many projects going right now.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Something is better than nothing. Take what's thrown your way. That's all we can do.
Speaking of which, I got a rap to you, man. Maybe I'll try and hit you up later tonight.
All right, brother. Well, check it out, guys. If you don't got any more questions, thank you for joining me in this amazing, quick stream where I break value down, break the value of Hex. And let's not forget the fact that nobody even knows about it. So you got a whole gaggle fuck of people that don't know what they're talking about, that hate on something that they do not understand, while those that put in the work to understand it love it dearly.
Yeah.
Something to think about, because those are the facts.
Hit that like.
Those are the facts. You know, that's what you got to take to the bank, because the data speaks for itself. You don't need anybody to tell you any stories. And it's really that simple, you know. I don't know why people think they need stories, but nah, you don't.
You guys tune into my channel this weekend. I'll tell you some stories.
There you go. Somebody got a story for you. Sure as hell ain't me. Like that. So with all that, hey, we got a little delay in PulseChain. There's a little bug. Nothing to worry about, because that's the whole process of building software, right? It's layer on top of layer on top of layer. So when one layer is laid down, there's bound to be an issue elsewhere. So the objective of building good software is there being no bugs. And that's how you know you're winning. And, you know, with that being said, thought if you got any last words, lay them out. If not, we out.
No, I got a little stuffed animal in honor of you here.
All righty. With that being said, peace.
Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Trust
that.
us. 100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when did this